Hey everybody, Bearded Rogue here. This is the first of what is going to be many Gen Con videos, I'm sure. So this one I'm going to focus on my haul. Expect to see additional videos of designer stuff, playtesting stuff, major experiences from the convention, that sort of thing. But I figured the first thing I would talk about is what games did I acquire at Gen Con and why. So the first one here is Back to the Future at a Time, the dice game. It's a pressure luck dice game from Daryl Andrews. Anybody who knows Daryl knows that his games are awesome, and this one is no exception. I love pressure luck dice games. What sets this one apart from a lot of the others, even though it's packaged similarly, is that unlike zombie dice, where you're kind of sitting around waiting for other people's turns to complete, you can, catch Pokemon, read your texts, email, that sort of thing. In Back to the Future, you're engaged the whole time because you can kind of piggyback on other players' turns. If you need the same number to advance in your goals as other people, and they roll it and lock it, you can kind of follow along. In addition, if you can get a combination of these flux capacitors and these 88 miles per hour dice out, then you can actually set other people's progress back in addition to enhancing your own. They flew this straight in for the convention, so the dice are a little bit smokier than they'll be in the final version of the game. So I'm kind of excited that I have kind of a unique collector's version of it, but it's really cool. I demoed this a little bit for at the IDW booth, and it's really solid, so I'm excited to have that. Next is Coloretto. So a lot of you have been telling me that Coloretto would be exactly my kind of game. It's cards, it's clever, it's engages all of the players in very interesting ways and has a scoring mechanism that's different than a lot of other things. You all were right. This game is awesome. I didn't find that out until a couple weeks ago when I played it for the first time, and I really feel like this is a game that everybody should have in their collection. I'm really glad to be adding the 10-year anniversary edition to mine. It's just a solid little card game. I think this may replace some of the other small card games, like No Thanks is my favorite of the bunch. This is awesome. So I'm really glad to have a copy of that. This is White Elephant. White Elephant is the game that I received as I walked into the Nerd Night event on Thursday night. They handed me this. I'd actually looked it up on BGG beforehand because I always thought that the White Elephant gift-giving mechanism that people use around Christmas times and stuff would be a really fun premise for a game, and guess what? Somebody else thought so and beat me to it. So I'm really excited to try this one out. I think it'll be neat, and I want to see how they implemented everything. But yeah, this is pretty cool. And then Pixel Tactics 4. I have all of the rest of the Pixel Tactics line, including Pixel Tactics Deluxe, which is right about there on my shelf, if you can see where my finger's pointing. This is the only one I was missing, so now I'm going to get to fill my Pixel Tactics Deluxe box out, and I will have all of Pixel Tactics. I'm really excited about that because this is a game that I really like. It's a two-player tactical card game. There's a little bit of strategy, but it's very much about being able to work with whatever it is that you get, which is fairly random from the card draw, but all of it is useful in different ways. So really, really excited about being able to complete this line. This next one is very, very special to me. So this, hold it right side up, Tony, is Lotus. I first played this game as Bloom back at Origins last year. Jordan and Mandy, the design team behind this, are really good friends, and they're awesome people. And they played my game Elements, and then we played their game Bloom, which is what became Lotus. And so I kind of got to follow along with them. We playtested it multiple times at Origins, and I really had fun with it and got to watch it develop over time and got to watch it as they got signed, and now they're officially published, and they have one of the most gorgeous games at the convention. So you can see like the spot UV on the box, and the art is just astonishing, like unbelievably gorgeous game, and I'm really looking forward to getting it to the table. It's the only hot game that I really sought out. I pretty much accepted that Cry Havoc and Seafall and several of the other games were going to be gone by the time I got a chance to roam the hall, so this was the first thing I went and got before the hall opened on Thursday, and I'm so glad to have my copy. I can't wait to play. Next thing I got was Machi Koro Bright Lights Big City. This is the Target exclusive version of Machi Koro. It's a demo copy, so they couldn't resell it, so I went ahead and walked away with one. I don't have any copies of Machi Koro yet, and this is kind of like a edition that combines a lot of the ideas from the expansions in the base game to generate a new experience. So I'm looking forward to trying this. I've played a lot of Machi Koro in the past. A lot of my gaming group likes it, but this will be the edition that I have. I'm probably not going to expand it at all, and we'll see how I like it. Then let's see, this is Paradox. This is a game that I specifically set out to get at the convention. Split Second Games didn't have a booth or anything like that. However, the wonderful people behind Split Second Games were willing to bring a copy for me, and we arranged a meeting, and I was able to pick one up, and I am so excited to have this in my collection. This has been at the top of my wish list since I saw it on Kickstarter. It's a game where all of you are working. It's not cooperative in this instance, but all of you are working to try to save various realities from being lost to space-time, and you have this grid of chips that you operate in like a match 4 game type fashion. I love match 3, match 4, Bejeweled type puzzle games on my phone, and to see one in board game form and having seen it played by various people during the Kickstarter, I'm really interested in this one. It's clever and it's unique, and I'm so glad that it's finally off my wish list and in my collection. So that's Paradox. Next game, Croftwagen V6. I played the original Croftwagen, the German edition of the game, and absolutely loved it. I love the mechanism of the player action selection that goes around in a circle that was copied from Glenmore. And I'll never get my hands on Glenmore, most likely, but I really wanted a copy of Croftwagen because I really enjoyed it. And when Stronghold Games announced that they were bringing the American edition in, and that it was going to include the V6 expansion in the box, I was already hooked at that point. I had to have a copy, and I'm glad I got one, because I'm really looking forward to playing this game a whole bunch of times. Let's see, next. The next two games are actually by one of my favorite design teams of all time. They have put out a ton of amazing games, and they just continue to reinvent what they do each time. None of their games are similar. They've done, worker placements and party games and dice games and even stacking games, and that's the Bamboozle Brothers. And the first one of these is Orphan Black, the card game. I love the show Orphan Black. I really dig it. Tatiana Maslany is one of the most amazing actresses, period, playing so many different roles so seamlessly and really making the cast seem like it's 5 times the size that it actually is. I fell in love with the dark sci-fi series itself, and when I heard that a card game was coming out and that Sen and Jay were the ones who were doing it, I was on board 100%. This is a hidden goal kind of game. It's only sort of hidden role. You actually are one of the are allied with one of the factions inside the game, and you're trying to recruit the different characters over to your factions, and you're trying to do so in a subtle manner so that nobody else really realizes what it is you're doing. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of other friends who are into Orphan Black, and so I think this one is going to see the table when we need a game that plays more than 4 people. I think this one will come out. It'll also come out with some of the more casual gamers that I know, because it's not extremely heavy on mechanics, but it's really deep in player interaction. So that's why I picked this one up. The next game is a game that I spent a lot of time actually demoing at the convention, and is also from Sen & J, and that's Godfather A New Dawn. And Godfather A New Dawn, for those not in the know, is a dice-driven area control game. And dice-driven area control game had me very skeptical at first. You know, how can you possibly control the areas if, you know, everything you get is random and, you know, you're just kind of relying on the dice and hopefully someone gets lucky. And that is not the case with this game. They injected enough social interaction between the players, with the Godfather asking for offers of particular dice and the other players being able to mitigate their dice with the mafiosos who are sent to sleep with the fishies. All of the dead mobsters in this game are useful mobsters because they give you special abilities that let you do things, and I think it's gorgeous. Like, I really think this board is unlike anything else I've ever seen, and it's really pretty, and the little mobster meeples and the dice are high quality, and everything about this game screamed to me once I actually started touching the bits. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to demo it and get familiar with it, because this is a real gem, guys. I highly recommend this one, and I don't think it had nearly as much buzz as it deserved going into the convention. So that's the last, that's the two games from Sen & J, and I have one more game that I picked up, and it's the game that is #1 on my wish list and has been since it was in its previous incarnation, but when you add Quan Chai artwork to it, yeah, this is Catacombs. And Catacombs mixes two things that I did not at all think would go well together, and that's dexterity-style flicking games and dungeon crawls. And the original version, which was pretty hideous art-wise, I hope I didn't offend anybody by saying that, but it was very, like, put together to get a product out the door kind of thing. The gameplay, however, really caught my interest on this one, and I was willing to live with the bad art. And then they put a new edition up on Kickstarter with the same amazing mechanics and even more amazing artwork. And I didn't have enough money at the time to back it on Kickstarter, so it was one of my missed opportunity games. Like, oh, I'm never going to be able to get a copy. And then as I was walking through the hall on the last day, I saw it in one of the booths and went ahead and picked it up, and I am so glad I did. This box is one of the heaviest game boxes I have ever picked up. I think the only thing in my collection that is heavier than it is the Ogre Collector's Edition. I mean, it's pounds and pounds of wood and stickers, and I'm really excited to get this one to the table. I don't have very many dexterity games or flicking style games in my collection, and the theme on this one really grabbed me, and the way that the gameplay works, with you actually flicking your pieces into monsters to attack them, or if you're a spellcaster, flicking smaller discs into them, and trying to navigate around the obstacles in the dungeon, and all of the monsters having unique abilities. And this is a totally unique game, and one that I could not live without having in my collection. So that's why I picked it up. There's one other game I want to mention, because it is not in my haul. However, that's because Kickstarter, I kickstarted it, and it is currently shipping to me, and that is Vast, the Crystal Caverns. I didn't purchase Vast at the convention. They did, however, sell out, and I'm super excited for all of them, because it is a phenomenal game. It's completely asymmetric. I've never seen anything like it. I don't think the industry was really prepared for how different it is, but I'm so glad that the industry pulled it in with open arms, because it's amazing. Like, truly amazing game. I played it at the convention. It's one of the few games I actually got to play, and I love that game. I'm so happy that my copy is on its way to me, and that I'll be getting it soon, but that's why it wasn't in my Gen Con haul photo. It's not because I missed it or because I didn't like it. I love it. It's because I already had a copy on its way to me, so I didn't feel the need to shrink their stock by picking up another one. I want everybody to experience this game, so the copy that could have been mine, I would much rather go out to someone else so that everybody can experience the uniqueness that is Vast. There were several other games that were amazing. I wasn't able to get to everything. Like any other gamer, I had a budget that I had to try to stay within, but I'm very happy with the purchases. It's a mixture of brand new games and older games. It's a mixture of casual games and heavy games and dexterity games and just games that I can play with all of the different people that I game with, and that's really what Gen Con is about for me, is the people. That's what all conventions and even the hobby itself is about for me, is the people. And so this is going to give me a chance to play games with even more people than I did before, and I'll have even more stuff to appeal to different groups. And so that's why I made the choices I did. Go ahead and let me know if any of these are things that were on your list, or if anything that I missed other than the obvious ones that sold out. Just let me know if there's anything that I should be on the lookout for, because I'm really happy with my haul, but of course I'm always on the lookout for new, interesting, and novel things. Anyway, that's my Gen Con haul, guys, so I'll talk to you guys again with other news from Gen Con and more stuff about my design. Later, guys.